Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to the audio hosted by your one and only me. Unlike last week, it is not 11:30 p.m. and I'm not exhausted because I had a pretty great weekend. So, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to pod. Once again, I just sound like a podcaster. It's week 3 and I'm already in the zone. But yeah, I'm feeling really good this week. I had a great week this week, of course. Went into the week a little exhausted after my weekend last time, but happy to be back. Happy to be back in the swing of things. So let's get right into it today. We are talking recap first, and then most of our podcast, I just want to talk about friendship and the value of it and how freaking awesome it is. Okay, so let me think. Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so no school and no practice. It was free day for Hannah. And what did I do after my long weekend? I worked some more. That's right, folks. I worked Monday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So a good old 13-hour day. But that paycheck at the end of the month, it's going to hit. I already know. So that was my Monday, was just working. And by working, I mean, I've told you guys that I coach and I work at Pro Play and I love that place. But this wasn't really coaching. Pro Play, one of their facilities, was hosting a tournament for other club teams to come play at that weekend. And I was asked to run the front table. So when parents or family members or anyone would show up to watch their kids play, they had to pay an entry fee. So I would take that money. And then I was also in charge of like restocking toilet paper, paper towels. One day we did a concession stand. So I sold coffee and donuts. So it was technically still working for Pro Play, but no coaching involved. And let me tell you, that 13 hours, draining. I feel like coaching, sometimes it goes long, but coaching flies by. Like an hour of coaching is like 15 minutes, it feels like. That 13 hours felt like a straight 24. And Phoebe, my gal, if you're watching, thank you so much for doing it with me. Phoebe was my coworker of the weekend. We took little shifts and took turns and helped each other out. We're just able to sit and chat and appreciate all of the time we had together and get to know each other because we had never hung out before. So that made it a little more bearable that I had someone to get through it all with me. Then Tuesday was pretty much back to the routine that we've been on for the past 3 weeks. It was practice bright and early on Tuesday morning, and then we have team lift on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I headed straight from practice over to team lift, and then I came home and I slept. And then I went to work. Something I'm trying to get better at is taking videos when I'm coaching because it's a huge part of my life. And I always forget when I'm working to take videos for you guys. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to post for Tuesday. But I actually worked 5 hours and I just don't post about it for some reason. I don't know why. So just know I'm not only doing 2 things or 1 video's worth on Tuesdays and Fridays. I'm also working at the same time. So that was Tuesday, was coaching. And honestly, Tuesday coaching was a really weird day. We just had a couple weird practices and some crap happened on the other court. I mean, we had some injuries and a girl like threw up on the court. So it was just a weird, and the bathrooms flooded. So we had to close all of those down. It was just a crazy, crazy work night on Tuesday. Wednesday, same thing, team practice. I am appreciating more and more the sunrise every single day I drive to work just because I get to take a video for you guys to see it. And it looks different every single day, which is so crazy to me. I'm driving to practice at the exact same time every day, and every day the sunrise looks different. So I'm learning to love being up that early, even though my body does not want me to be up that early. So we had team practice on Wednesday, which was really good. And then I came home, took a little nap. And then since my classes were canceled on Monday, we instead had class on Wednesday because we only usually have Zoom on Mondays. But she decided to make it on Wednesday that week. So I went to my Zoom class. And then Wednesday night, I don't think I did anything. I feel like I just slept for so long. Like that was my first day after like 5 straight days of work to just do nothing and sit there and be lazy. So that's all I did was nothing. And it was perfect. It was everything I ever wanted and more. Then Thursday came around, same thing, team practice, team lift, and then Thursday was kind of fun. I went home and took a nap, and then if we haven't talked about this, I'm a nap girly. I must take a nap during the day. Like if I don't, I'm cranky. I'm like a 4-year-old at 21. Like I need my daily nap, especially waking up so early. I have to get a nap in, otherwise it's going to be bad. It's going to be a bad day for me. So Thursday, took my nap, and then I had my senior capstone class, which is basically a class that we have to take at Vanguard. Every major takes it, and it's kind of like prepping your resume, talking through what life looks like after college, and really just preparing you for life 4 months from now after you graduate, which right now, since we're just starting out the class, I'm like, oh, this is so slow and pointless. It's only 30 minutes once a week. Like, we're not getting anything out of this. Why do I have to take this? But I think the concept is really good. There's so many schools that will just like let you out into the world with a degree that maybe you just cheated your way through the whole time and you're not ready to enter the workforce. But Vanguard is like really, really preparing us to be successful human beings, which I am very grateful for. So that was Thursday afternoon. I had my Zoom class. Usually it's in person. That's what you guys have seen some in person videos of. But my professor was a little under the weather, just like half the freaking nation is right now. I feel like everyone is getting sick. So he pushed it to Zoom, which works out for me because I live off campus. So I didn't have to take a drive for one 30-minute class, which would have sucked. And then Thursday night, I went out to dinner with some friends to the wisest of guysest, as I do. Wise guys, you have my heart. I got something different this time. Usually I just get a pizza, but I had a chicken parm sandwich, and it was so good, so good, so good. And I went to Wise Guys with my friends Emma, Mads, Morgan, and our coach Jason. Jason's one of our assistant coaches, and it was really nice. I was talking to some of them about this afterwards, but Jason is really good at being a listener and like a good conversationalist. Like he is not like the most upbeat, wild, crazy guy you've ever met, but he's not negative. He just sits right steady in the middle, and that steadiness is really similar to me, and I just appreciate that from him. And I appreciate how deeply he wants to know the people he cares about. Like he asks us some intense questions, but every time I have to answer them, I'm like, wow, I feel so much better like knowing that about myself now. And I'm glad that Jason knows that about me too. And then he always follows it up by just being such a good guy. I remember at dinner on Thursday, he was asking us about like the great ways that like our dads raised us and like the ways that they weren't so great. And he specifically asked, he was like, how can I raise my daughter to be, how can I be the best dad to my daughter? And I think that's so powerful to go to a group of 20 to 25-year-olds and say, how do I be a good dad? Because his daughter's really young. She's like a toddler. I'm like, wow, like, I don't know how many people do that and like lay down their pride to say, I might not be the best dad. How can I become the best dad? But I think that's really powerful to have a grown man do that. So I really enjoyed Wise Guys dinner. Long story short, it was awesome. Same thing, went to bed bright and early, like 10 p.m. now. I'm a 10 p.m. girly. Even with my nap, I gotta get to bed because otherwise the next morning, not gonna be feeling good. Friday morning practice went pretty smoothly, I would say. I definitely, by Friday, was pretty mentally drained just from waking up early and having things going on and coaching and everything else. So got to Friday and I was a little out of it, but we had a good practice on Friday. Had a little situation that I don't really want to get into, but we solved it. Me and one of our other coaches had a little tense 30-second moment, but he apologized and we moved on, so it's all okay. And then what did I even do on Friday? Oh, and then Vanguard the beach volleyball team did our community service. And we decided for community service on our team that we wanted to do a beach cleanup because people are litterers and dirty and we play there and want to take care of our space. So we just walked up and down the beach probably for about 30 minutes and just picked up trash. We had gloves and trash bags. So we just moseyed around, picked up, it was a lot of cups, styrofoam, random like trash. I don't know, little wrappers and things. It wasn't like we would just find like a huge, big bucket of trash or something. It was like little things that we just picked out of the sand. And then after that, we went to Bo's Bagels, which is our weekly spot on Fridays after practice. You deserve it after a long practice, after a long week of practice. Went to Bo's and had our bagels and chit chatted. So many people from the team went this week. Usually we fill a table of about like 8 or 9 people, but this week like the whole freaking crowd went. So it was a lot of fun. There was like 10 of us, 15 of us. I don't know. There was so many of us, and it was a ton of fun. Our coaches have started coming with us too. Just adds to the vibes, makes it even better. Then I came home on Friday. Gosh, it's literally 2 days ago, and it feels like forever ago. What did I do? Came home on Friday, and of course, took my nap. As I do, I always take my nap. And then I woke up, and I was actually pretty productive. I did some homework, and then talked to some people, and then I went to work, and I got to talk to Callie Jo on my way to work. She's my bestie in Utah that I mentioned before. Went to work, coached on Friday. The 14s had an awesome practice. Like, so much growth, so much focus, so much effort, and I just feel really good because not that they've been slacking off because they had an awesome tournament last weekend too, but sometimes it's really hard to like get 14-year-olds to really like dial in and put in their best effort during the week. But they were like bought in and they worked hard, and I really appreciated it. And then the 16s following that, again, great practice. We had a drill right at the end that kind of kicked their butts, but same thing, they worked hard and took care of business and got it done. Well, they didn't get that drill done, but they'll get it done next week, and I believe in them. And then I came home last night and Friday night, once again, exhausted. Went straight to bed. I get off work at 9:30, in bed by 10, conked out. I can't do it. Then Saturday was a ton of fun yesterday. I woke up around 9:30, got to sleep in. It was not even 9:30. It was like 8:15, honestly. It was still pretty early. But then me and my roommate Haley hung out for a little bit, and we decided to go thrifting. So we picked up Emma, and us three went thrifting. I should give you guys a haul, honestly, because I got like so many sick things. So many cool things. I'm sure you'll see them in future videos. But yeah, great thrifting trip. Awesome thrifting trip. Got so many awesome things. So excited. And then we came back, and just for a couple hours, I really took care of business. I was like, I don't want to take a nap because then I won't sleep good tonight, especially since I already slept in. So I like cleaned my bathroom, I cleaned my room, made myself a good lunch, did some homework, talked to Sam on the phone, and then I met up with Mads and we went and got kava for dinner. Oh my gosh, do I have the kava story for you guys? Kava isn't everywhere, but if you've never heard of kava, it's kind of like Chipotle, but for Mediterranean food. So you go and I do like saffron rice and spinach and chicken, and you get like pita bread and you put hummus on it and olives, and it's just so delicious. So delicious. If you've never had kava and it's near you, go, because I don't think you'll ever go to Chipotle again. Anyways, at kava, I had seemingly a little miscommunication with the checkout guy. He was ringing up my order for me, and I said, very explicitly, I said, can I get a to-go cup? Notice the word cup at the end of that statement. He goes, yeah, sure. He rings me up. I go to tap my card. He's over there boxing up my order, putting it in a bag for me. Great, thank you so much. And he hands me the bag. Hey, can I get my cup? He's like, sure. Hands me like a tiny little water cup. Like, thinks I didn't pay for a cup. And I'm like, no. And I visualized for him. I was like, no, like a big cup. Like, I paid for the cup. You know, I get a normal sized cup. And he stared at me like this for like 10 seconds. I kid you not. And then finally, like, something clicked in his brain. He goes, oh, the big cup. I'm like, yeah, the big cup. Oh my gosh. So he gave me my big cup, and then literally 30 seconds later, Mads goes through to pay for hers. He's like, do you want a bag? And she's like, yeah, I'll take a bag. Same thing. 10 seconds. Then he goes, oh, the bag. Just really weird dude. Same. What else happened? Oh, Mads's order was like $19.25 or something. So she handed him 4 $5 bills, $20. He counts it. Goes, you gave me an extra 5. Gives it back to her. So Mads paid $15 for a meal. So I don't know what this guy was doing that day, but I don't think he was all the way there. and that's okay. It happens to the best of us, but random kava trip. Super duper random. So anyways, me and Mads last night, we got kava and then we came back here and we are watching The Summer I Turned Pretty. And I'm not gonna lie, super duper cringy and weird, but I am incredibly bought in. Like, there was a point in the evening where I was standing on my couch like this at the screen because it was ridiculous. It was crazy. But Summer I Turned Pretty, great show. Me and Mads have been watching it. We just finished it last night, the final 3 episodes we watched. And spoiler to everyone, the last episode freaking sucks of season 2. They finish on the weirdest scene. Like, why finish on a shitty volleyball scene? That's not even good volleyball. I don't understand. And I'm not necessarily team Jeremiah or team Conrad. I'm just team let's make a decision. Let's stop bouncing around and having the same we can't be together, I'm not sure about you, conversation 20 times. Let's just pick someone and move forward with life. So hopefully in season 3, we don't just bounce back to her being between 2 guys and not knowing what to do and them not being sure about what to do because I am tired of it. So anyways, we watched 2 episodes of The Summer I Turned Pretty, and then our friends Maddie and Bailey came over and we had a game night, which was, again, a ton of fun. We played some games that are basically just kind of get to know you games. And then at the end of the night, we did just kind of a get to know you Quizlet. It's basically the game We're Not Really Strangers, but someone uploaded the cards onto Quizlet so that we don't have to have the actual card game or buy it. Which was really fun. Some of the questions we got to answer I really enjoyed. One of them was, what's the most recent time you looked at your life and thought you were so lucky to be you? Which is just a good positive thing to think about. And what else? Oh, one that was really fun is we had to describe for each other person in the circle what we thought their future life looked like or what their life would become. So everyone got to go around and I talked about what I thought Maddie's life would be like and then Bailey's life and then Mads' life and then they all did the same in return for me. And it's interesting as you learn about people what you pay attention to or what you notice because we were all pretty dang spot on of both being realistic but also like what we dream will happen and knowing what each other wants in life. So it was really cool to see that all my friends know me so well. So then Maddie and Bailey left. So me and Mads were like, we have one more episode of this show. We have to finish it. So we watched the last episode and I don't know why we did that. Such a waste of time. It was pointless, but we did. And we finished that, and then Mads stayed the night here in my cozy bed with me. We cuddled and slept. No, Mads is not my girlfriend, everyone, just a bestie. And then this morning, me and Mads went to a little cafe down on the peninsula and had a great breakfast burrito. Oh my gosh, it was delicious. The bacon in there, so good. And I had a caramel macchiato that was, again, delicious, and she offered to put whipped cream on it, the lady at the front desk, and it was so good. I was so happy. And those are the moments where I sit there and I'm like, wow, this is my life. It's Sunday morning. I'm in Newport Beach, sitting on the peninsula with my friend. It's sunny out. I'm wearing this exact outfit. And it's like January 22nd or 21st or, 21st. What a life I live. Life is so good. So then me and Mads drove down to the Wedge and just took probably like a 1.5 mile loop and just talked for onward forever. Like the conversation never stops between me and Mads, which I love. And we just talked about so many deep topics and it wasn't uncomfortable or it wasn't weird. It was just like so lovely to walk around with her and spend time with her. And of course, me and Mads see each other every day at practice and we hang out a lot in groups and we see a ton of people. But me and Mads spent a lot of one-on-one time together last year and that's how our friendship really developed. But just recently we haven't had a ton of one-on-one time by our choosing. We invite people to things and we love hanging out with other people. But it was really nice to just hang out with her one-on-one again and just get into it with one another. So, and then I came home and I took a nap and talked to Sam and did some homework. And now I'm here. But back to me and Mads. What I wanted to talk about today, I think, is my evolution or my timeline of friendships because I don't know how many other women experience this, but friendships have not always been my strong suit and maybe still aren't. And I've never had like the girl gang of girl gangs. I see everyone post on Instagram like, "Oh, my girls for 15 years, like such a great friendship." And I just I don't have that. And I wanted to spend some time talking about it, not only for myself to like reflect on, but also for anyone who might be listening and like doesn't have like their girl gang or other people to know that like they're not alone and it's normal to like cycle through friendships in seasons of life. So, let's hop into it. In elementary school, of course, everyone's kind of friends with everyone. I mean, some days you like hate someone and then the next day you don't. But in elementary school, I had probably like two or three close friends. I remember one of my friends, Alyssa, we became friends on the playground because she was telling everyone she was a werewolf. And I was like, no, you're not. You're a freaking liar. And she was like, shh, you're the only one who knows. We can't tell anyone. So we became friends because I was smart enough to know she's not a werewolf. But that's like classic elementary behavior. I feel like you become friends for no reason, literally none. So that was like mainly probably my first real friendship because she also lived two streets over from me, which meant that we could hang out outside of school. I feel like in elementary school, sometimes you have your friends at school, but you don't really see them outside of school. But Alyssa was someone that I could go to outside of school and hang out to, and we did so much together growing up. I would go to the movies with her family. She would go out with us to our friend group house. Like we did so much, and a couple vivid memories. We would walk around in like those plastic princess high heel shoes, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. She had the Polly Pocket water mansion thing that you could put water in. Like it was a water park too. So we made a mess of her kitchen floor doing all of that. She had a fake little mini kitchen, so we would come up with menus. We would play teacher and student. And the coolest thing about Alyssa's house is she had like a vintage soda vending machine, and we could go down there and get Hawaiian fruit punch cans. Oh my gosh. I thought it was awesome. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my freaking life. Like, without question, it was the coolest part of my childhood. So, that was Alyssa. And then later in elementary school, in Colorado, elementary school is kindergarten to fifth grade. So, right around fourth and fifth grade, going towards middle school, um, another girl moved to the area named Brooke, and she became another really good friend of ours. So we were kind of like a trio. We were the trio. We thought we were so cool. I mean, we weren't like the popular girls at school by any means. There was like that group, but we were like known by everyone and like existed known by everyone. And I loved it. It was super duper fun. So then I got to middle school. And keep in mind, I'm not playing club volleyball at this point. I'm playing the YMCA, but like you're not really meeting up with your YMCA friends outside of school. So got to middle school and I kind of stayed with Brooke and Alyssa and stayed in that friend group. And I had another friend throughout elementary school. Her name was Summer. She also lived in the neighborhood with me and Alyssa, so we also hung out a little bit. But for some reason, we just like weren't as close, but we were still friends. She just wasn't like my best friend. I don't know why, but yeah. So middle school started, and I kind of stuck within that group. And I think this is where like maybe in the first time I was like, I'm not sure if these people are my friends, but like I really want to have a friend group, so I'm gonna like be here and be in it. But of course, that friend group expanded, more people came in, a group of like boys that we were all like in and out of like middle school dating, whatever, like joined the friend group. So there was like, I don't know, 8 of us that were all like super duper close. So like 4 or 5 girls, 4 or 5 boys. And we all hung out. We sat at lunch together. We would walk home with each other. We would at our middle school, you got out of school early on Wednesdays, and there's a library up the street. And of course, we weren't going to like sit and read books, but they had a huge backyard at the library that you could like play flag football in and just mess around and like hang out with your friends at. So we would all walk there, and all 8 of us would walk together, and we would all hang out. But middle school times, I don't want to say they were bad necessarily because I don't have any like vivid oh my gosh, this, like, I just remember crying from this. I don't have any of those moments, absolutely not. But I do remember thinking, like, oh, I'm not sure I'm, like, really the same as any of these girls. Like, they were all very much getting into, like, theater and drama and whatnot. And I was going down, like, a sports, volleyball, whatever kind of life. And that's not to say at all that those people can't be friends, but we just were losing interests. Like, they were Tumblr era girlies. And I was like, I can't write a poem to save my life. Like, you want me to look into slam poetry? No way. So I tried to stick around in that group for a long time. I remember they were all like in the school play, and I was like the light girl. I would like shine the light or the spotlight or whatever. I tried to stick through it, but it just wasn't super duper great. And then, of course, there's always like the middle school classic drama, whatever. So was dealing with that also. It was also kind of interesting in middle school because I think 6th grade or 7th grade maybe is when I started playing club volleyball. And volleyball is another story for another world, maybe next week. But one of like the popular girls of our grade, her name was Haley. We had been like best friends through elementary school, and then like 4th or 5th grade, when I really got into this Alyssa Brooke group, Haley went into the popular friend group. So we were really good friends from the young years because we went to daycare together at the same place before we went to elementary school. So she was like, I can't believe I forgot to mention her. No, she was like my bestie for so long. We did so much together. And our brother and sister, my brother and her sister were in the same grade. So me and her hung out all of the freaking time. Like, I slept over at her house so much growing up. Anyways, it was interesting in middle school because I had ties to my like 8-person friend group, but then I was also playing volleyball with Haley. So I also knew the people in that group. But like, I wasn't really friends with them necessarily. I just knew them, which meant like I was kind of known in our grade just amongst different groups in a way, I guess. Not in like a cocky. Everyone knew me. Not at all. It was just, I don't know. I didn't necessarily just belong to one group, which I had a hard time with, like being comfortable in just like one spot and like bought into one place. I just couldn't do it. So that was most of middle school. And by the end of middle school, I had pretty much decided, you know what, like, I don't think these people are for me. Like, they are wearing dark eyeliner, maybe going goth, either super duper theater kids focused on education, just not very sporty people, whatever. We had like different reasons. And I was like, you know what, I just think I need to phase out of this group. And everyone from that group was going to a different middle or a different high school. So I was like, okay, this is like a clean break off moment. So we started high school, and I remember showing up not knowing a single soul. I mean, obviously I knew my brother and his friends, but like, he was a junior and I was a freshman, and we weren't gonna hang out at school. That was nerdy of me if I was gonna do that. But like I've talked about before, luckily with volleyball being in the summer before freshman year started, I was able to like build some core friend group there. And then once real freshman year started, like school season started, we were able to expand that friend group. So then it was a lot more athletic people, people with similar interests. Everyone's playing club volleyball, everyone's doing this, everyone is in classes together, whatnot. So I loved that. It was like, okay, I can relate to these people. We're similar, we hang out a ton, we have a lot of fun, whatever. So that was awesome. That was the first year or two. I remember it was like me, Lauren, Sari, Sammy, like taking care of business. We were it. We were having so much fun. And then sophomore year, same thing. We added a couple more girls. The boys had become kind of established because there's one kid. I'm gonna give you a fat shout out right now, so you better be thankful. That I had the biggest crush on for my entire freaking life, from like 2nd grade to 6th grade. His name was Joel. Joel, if you're watching, you missed out. Sorry. I'm happily committed in a relationship now, but sucks to suck. Just kidding. I have no feelings towards this man, or I haven't talked to this guy in like 5 years. Anyways, me and Joel had kindergarten all the way until senior year together, so we had kind of moved groups together. But he had friends from other schools that came to our high school, so he brought all of his boys, and then it was me and the volleyball girls, and we just kind of made like group. We called ourselves the gang. I don't know when we came up with that, but looking at that now, I'm like, why was that our group name? We were not a gang by any means. We were white suburban children. But nonetheless, so first 2 years of that, freshman and sophomore year, rocked. I was like, this is awesome. Great friend group, great people, great club team, great girls to play volleyball with. Life is rocking, life is awesome, whatever. I remember freshman and sophomore year, I was still kind of in the midst of being dumb with boys. I just was making bad choices. But I don't know, that didn't really impact necessarily that friend group, except for Joseph. Joseph still have lots of love for you. Sorry I dated you for like 2 hours and then we broke up. I was like, oh, that was a bad choice. Anywho, so that was good. First 2 years were good. Junior year started to get a little funky. There started to be a little more drama. People started dating like within the friend group. The first 2 years were awesome because no one was dating anyone. It was like just friendship. And then, of course, we all start catching feelings as big friend groups do. So, junior year is where it gets a little funky. People kind of started dating one another and breaking up, and things would get awkward, and like there'd be groups, but then we'd always come back together. So, I started senior year so excited. I was like, this is going to be the best senior year ever. I'm going to have so much fun. It's going to be awesome. I even remember meeting with my counselor, and she's like, you can graduate a semester early if you want. Like, you have all the credits you would need. You can take a semester off before you go to college. I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to do my whole senior year because I want to be with my friends and go to prom and go to all the football games and basketball games and go like have a normal graduation with all my friends and like not miss anything. Foreshadowing. Terrible, terrible choice. Anyways, so senior year started, and this was the first time I was in a relationship in high school other than my 2 hour one with Joseph. Senior year started, I was in a relationship, things were still going well. One of our friends, he had gotten this girlfriend who was not kind to me at all. She talked a lot of crap about me. She like at one point was like gonna break my nose or something, and I was just like texting her back. I'm like, I don't understand why you have so much hatred towards me. All I've done in this friend group is like invite people to have a safe space and come hang out at my house and have a ton of fun with them. I haven't tried to get with your man ever. Like, I'm not interested in him in the slightest. It wasn't Joel. But I'm not interested in him in the slightest, and I'm not trying to like impede on your space. Like, I want you to come over to my house and hang out too. Like, we can all be friends. So that was really hard. That was like the first, I guess, real drama I had. And then me and that boyfriend broke up on homecoming night. Interestingly enough, that's a long freaking story, but for the best. And then after that, it honestly all just went downhill so fast. I remember that one girl really hated me. Me and this guy had broken up, which caused a little rift in the friend group because like my best friend of the time was dating his best friend, so that got a little funky. And then this girl who hated me was able to like drag her boyfriend away, which meant like I felt like in that friend group, since I was the hoster of most events, he was kind of the life of the party or the planner. So when she was able to drag him away, he was able to drag, or that just meant he drug a lot of my friends with him. So that was really hard because that was a realization moment of like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't deserve friends. Maybe I shouldn't have friends. Maybe I'm a bad person. Am I doing this wrong? I don't know what happened. Like, I'm welcoming these people into my home. I'm being nice. We're having parties. We're having fun. Like, I'm offering these people rides places. I just felt like I was being a really good human. And for some reason, like, this girl just didn't like me, and she was able to pull all of my friends away from me, and it hurt really freaking bad. Yeah, so then probably around, I'm trying to think now, I lose track of the time frame. This is probably like November-ish, honestly. Maybe December. Yeah, let's go with December. So I went into winter break pretty friendless, and there was no like clear, like, hey, we're not friends anymore. I just remember wanting to go to things or talk to people or whatever, and like realizing they were all hanging out and they didn't invite me without like any explanation. And then I would like ask them or like text them to see why, but they would just give me like fake reasons why I wasn't invited. So I didn't really understand. I just felt like so in the dark. And I think that's still true today. So if any of you guys are watching and would mind, no, I'm not looking for an apology. I have moved past that part of my life, but you could explain to me why you stopped being friends with me. I would really appreciate it. I don't know. I've grown. Maybe we could be friends again. But nonetheless, that was really hard. So I kind of just started outsourcing into like these random friend groups. Like I became friends with a group of people who had just graduated, and I became friends with this kid named Jacob, and I became friends with these people from church that I started going to. This is when I started going to this thing called Young Life. Everywhere has it. Google it. It's called Young Life. Super fun if you're just trying to figure out Christianity and figure out what it is and see if you want to get into it. So I started joining in with that friend group, and I was lucky enough senior year 2 to be taking a class at another school, a teacher cadet class, since I knew I wanted to be a teacher, where I was able to establish friends there that went to different high schools because it was like the district held that class at like a district school. So like 5 schools worth of kids went there if they wanted to be in the teacher cadet program. So I was able to make friends from different schools and still have like some friendships in my life, but it just wasn't that core group that I had held on to for 3 years. So I did feel lonely for a long time. Anyways, so I started outsourcing friendships and trying to just fill that void and not be honest with myself, and just kind of like suppress the feelings. Like I would go to school and act like everything was fine and dandy and life was awesome, but the truth was that I refused to like acknowledge it and like go to school and have people like look at me weird or have to see those people in the hall or whatever else it was. It was so miserable for me, really. So then I'm like, oh crap, why did I not want to graduate early? Because at this point it's like January, February, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I want to graduate? So I finish out that, and then March hits, COVID hits. Biggest blessing for me, honestly. I was like, thank you, God, get me out of this school. Thank God this happened. So I left school, and then I honestly had a super freaking awesome fun summer. Like, super duper fun. I had made my random teacher cadet friends. I had my young life friends. I connected all of us. We would run around and play games all summer. We hung out just a ton, honestly. I became friends with this kid named Riley and his friends. So we all started hanging out. And it was honestly a super duper fun summer. I know it was COVID summer, which was hard, but I just remember having a ton of fun, honestly. Like, it was great. I really enjoyed myself. Yeah. And then after that, not sophomore, where am I going with this? Freshman year of college was starting, which meant I was moving to California, which was really hard again because I was like, okay, I just made these new friends, but like, can we stay in contact long distance? Like, is this a real friendship? But I remember leaving and just being so sad when I left. I had thought 4 months ago, I was like, please get me out of Colorado. And then 4 months later to leaving, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to leave my friends. I have such a good group. So, first of all, it just goes to show you that even when you think you're at your lowest and don't have anyone around you, people will show up and you will find your people in that moment when you need people. There is never going to be a time where you are truly, truly alone unless you make yourself alone. So, put yourself out there, talk to people, invite people out, say yes when people invite you out, even when you don't want to, and good things will come to you. I pinky promise. Okay, next phase of the story. I don't know how long I've been talking, but I'm going to keep going. Next phase of the story. Freshman year starts. This, I talked about it a little bit in my life story, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can reinvent myself. Perfect. This is the dream. I mean, I didn't do too much, but I decided that from reflecting on high school, I was pretty, not quiet, but pretty reserved, and you had to get to know me before I would like talk to you, and you had to kind of be the first one to reach out and things like that. And I also just was kind of a walking doormat. Like, people could do so much to me and then apologize, and I'd be like, it's okay, everyone makes mistakes. But I was like not going to stand for that anymore. I was speaking my truth. You were not going to hurt me anymore. So I got to college, and again, we've kind of talked through this. Moved into a house with 5 other girls, 5 other freshmen, and immediately me and one other girl hit it off. And I think it's because I had decided I wanted someone who was going to invest in me, and she always wanted to like go out and do things and go out to this place and hang out with me in my room and da 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 da. But for like looking back on that now, it's because she didn't have a car and she needed rides places, and I could pay for things that she couldn't pay for, and I was too naive to think she would pay me back, so I just paid for our life for the first like 4 months of school. Either way, so she quickly became my friend, and like I even bought her a flight to Colorado to come home with me for my birthday. Oh my gosh, so many things I forget about. Yeah, we became quick friends, and then this is the same girl that when I found out that I was exposed to COVID and we had to miss volleyball practice, tables had turned and she was going to punch me in the nose and hurt me. So, once again, failed friendship. If you're reading anything out of this story, failed friendships to the max. Like, a lot of them. So then I got closer with some of my other roommates and we started hanging out. And then honestly, I made a pretty regret. I don't have regrets necessarily, but a naive mistake in November of my freshman year. And of course, it revolved around a boy. I mean, I feel like most girl drama starts around a boy, but it was 100% my fault. And looking back, like I do take full acknowledgement of that. And I knew I had messed up then, but I don't think I like handled the circumstances correctly. So, anyways, my end, failed friendship again. So then I meet Callie and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to ruin this too. This sweet little Mormon girl, I'm going to ruin her. Wrong. We're still chilling 3 years later. But besides the point, I meet Callie, become friends with her. Everything in the house is a mess because all of the roommates, except for Callie, hate me. The team hates me for that same boy drama situation. But basically, second roommate who hated me because of boy drama, that boy drama ended and I moved on to a different boy. This time, did not make the same error twice. Checked in with my girl, made sure it was okay, whatever, the girl on my team, made sure it was okay. She was cool with it, but the rest of the team decided that they weren't okay with it. So, didn't like me. And they did a lot of mean things to me again, where I feel like even when someone slights me or does something mean to me, I don't then in turn try and like get back at them or hurt them. I just take like the high road and just like don't talk to them anymore. They decided that was not the case. They would blast loud music outside of me and Callie's bedroom door at night. We would be playing, and me and my partner would be playing, and they just like wouldn't say a single word to me or talk to me or acknowledge me or a single thing. They called me some pretty nasty names, like to a point where at one time our coach had to be like, okay, we are a team. If you're not all going to cheer for all the people on our team, it's not going to work. And I was like, thank you so much for finally noticing. So, long first year at Fullerton. Long first year. But me and Callie moved out. Second year got a little bit better, but it was still just me and Callie and my girl Issa. I haven't shouted her out yet. She was on the team. She was nice to me. She was cool to me. But my girl Issa. So really still like no solid people in my life. When we got to college, since it was COVID, we would meet people on Bumble, go on a date with them, meet their friends, drop the guy, and become friends with their friends because we were like, no way to meet people in the midst of COVID. So we had a friend group up in Chino Hills that me and Callie would go hang out with quite a bit, but I knew that wasn't going to last. I think from the get-go, I knew that was like a seasonal friendship. It was like, go hang out with them to party and have a good time, but like there's no deeper level to this friendship. But it was super fun friend group to hang out with, and then like I could get my deeper fix from Callie, you know? Sophomore year started, same thing, pretty mundane. The girls at least like masked their hatred for me a little bit better, but were still not very nice to me. Yeah. I think they masked it because unlike beach where it's just you and a partner, it was all like 12 of us on the same team, like 6 girls on the court, and everyone else was cheering for the 6 girls on the court. And they knew, this is going to sound cocky again. I was one of our better players at Fullerton, playing all 6 rotations. So I think they knew that they had to be nice to me in order for us to like be successful, because I was going to be on the court with them no matter what. So that got a little bit better. And then again, like I've talked about, Callie left and RJ and me met and became really good friends. So I think it's honestly really safe to say that Callie was my first really, really solid friendship where I was like, okay, this can be a lifetime friendship for sure for me. I love Callie Joe. Anyways, so me and RJ, it's just us. I mean, he has his whole group of friends. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we're two lonely people that just like need to hang out with each other. Like RJ had people, but he still chose to hang out with me, which is a blessing. So it was me and RJ, and I was just kind of getting by. And of course, I had like my medium friends. Like I had Issa and my roommates, and I was still kind of friends with the Chino Hills people and whatnot. But I didn't have like my group. Like it wasn't like people that I was like, you know, when you have that best friend who you could just like, me and Matt's like literally sleep in the same bed, wake up, like not talk to each other, just be in each other's presence, and it's like all good and dandy, and like you can just hang out with each other every day and not get bored. I didn't have those people. So again, like a very lonely finish to the semester. But luckily I knew at that point that I was leaving Fullerton. So I was able to start looking for friend groups and like figure out where I wanted to go to school. So fast forward to last year. Come to Vanguard, and me and Sam, we'll get into this. Me and Sam had broken up for like 2 weeks. So I'm like fully invested. I'm like, okay, make friends. First day on the team, me and Coach and one of the other new girls, Maddie, go out to Boba. I'm like, oh, Maddie is so cool. Maybe I should start talking to her. Next day, another girl on the team, Jax, is like, hey, who all wants to go get Chipotle? I'm like, I'm so down. We go do that. And slowly but surely, I get to know like the team, and I'm like, wow, these are all really good people who don't seem to just like assume something about someone and then not go for it. And they seem to like appreciate the way I like hold myself and the way I talk. And like, I'm not a brutally honest person. I'm an honest person. I refuse to lie to people, but I am a comfortably honest person in that like, I'm not going to be like, your dress freaking sucks. I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know if that suits you. Maybe you should wear this. Like a very respectful, honest kind of girl. And they appreciated that about me. It was something when we play games where it's like, what's your favorite quality about this person? They always answer honesty. And I think in the past, all of my other relationships, people were like, she's kind of aggressive or mean or whatever. But they embraced what other people cut off of me. So I don't know. I mean, long story short, we played volleyball together. We hung out all the freaking time because when you're a college athlete, you don't have any time away from one another. And I want to 100%, not being cocky, not being too hopeful, throw it out there that I think like, this is my girl gang. Like this is my lifetime girl gang. And I know that when I start teaching and when I move back to Colorado, I'm going to meet more girls and they're going to become lifelong friends. But there's a couple people out here at Vanguard right now that I'm like, I can be friends with you forever. And that's the first time I've had that outside of Callie in another relationship. Because I've always been a very logical human. Most women tend to, not stereotyping women, but we are very emotional beings, more emotional than men. And that's just a factual thing. But I tend to lean more logical amongst most women. So I always looked at friendships and kind of knew like, oh, I don't think this is a forever thing. But I look at some of the friendships I have now and I think they can be forever things. And one of the reasons I think that is because I can go on walks with Mads for 2 hours and just talk so deeply about life and the way we want to raise our kids and the way we want to be in relationships and marriages and the way our families raised us and like our downfalls and like our triumphs. And we just respect one another and love to learn from one another and it's just so good. Like it is so good. And I wouldn't even say that I'm in like a comfortable place of like I have my 8 girls and like we're just always there for one another and always available and whatever. But I don't think I can establish that kind of friendship. I don't think I'm built for that. And I think that's actually okay. So, if you're listening and you're trying to figure out why you don't have your girl gang yet, this is my advice for you. First, I don't think everyone is built for a girl gang. And that's not a bad thing. What I mean by that is there's some people who need a girl gang that they can spend every single day with, or one person that they can hang out this day and then the next person that day, and they can't be alone. I think when you have a really solid group of independent women, you don't need to be together all of the time or even every week for that gang to still exist. There will be a time when I move to Colorado and I don't see these girls for 2 months, but I know if I text Mads every 2 months and say, "How are you doing?" it's going to be fine. And we're going to bounce back into a friendship really easily. So, first, that's my point. Maybe you don't need a girl gang. Maybe let's work on developing you and your independence and happiness on your own and willingness to be alone in moments. And maybe your girl gang is a girl gang, just not like the definition of it. Anyways, second thing I want to point out. You deserve a real girl gang and not a fake girl gang. What I mean by that is I don't want anyone to go out searching for friends because they feel like they need a circle. I would rather you focus, or this is me speaking to my past self too, focus on being alone and being happy with yourself. And if the girl gang comes to you, the girl gang comes to you and the right people come to you. Don't go out searching because that's when you find the wrong people. It's like when they say once you stop searching for a relationship, that's when it comes to you. That's when you find like the love of your life is when you least expect it. I think that applies to friendships too. When you're like really working hard to like find people to be friends with, you excuse a lot. But when you let it happen naturally and like truthfully, that's when you establish the best friendships. What other girl gang advice do I have? I would advise you to not be scared of leaving a girl gang. Like I talked about earlier, girl gangs come and go. I think people think friendship either has to be nothing or for life. But I think the truth is that there can be friendships in seasons. Like I had my middle school friendships and they were great and they fulfilled me at that time, but they would not have been lifelong friendships. But they were great friendships in the moment. And I had my college first couple years friendships with the boys and friends up in Chino Hills, but those were not forever friendships, and that's okay because they taught me something else in life or fulfilled me in that time, or they did something else for me at that time that I may have needed. Not every relationship you have in life needs to be lifelong. I think you can acknowledge that some things may just be a little while and then they might end after that. Trying to think what else I have. I think comparison is a killer, and it's not worth you comparing yourself to other people or trying to adjust who you are to fit into a girl gang, because when the right girl gang comes along, you will fit in seamlessly as you should. And of course, that does not mean you don't need to work on yourself or grow or be a better human. It just means that they should love and accept you for who you are and support you in your growth of wherever you want to be. And last but not least, what do I want my most important advice to be? I think just patience. My whole, from like seventh grade until now as a senior in college, has always been, when is it going to be my turn? When do I find my friends? When does this happen for me? Especially growing up watching my parents have so many friends that were just there for like, it's been 40 years now, my parents having these friends. I was like, how does that happen to me? Why don't I get that? What's wrong with me? And I encourage you that like life moves at the pace it's meant to move at for you. And not everyone is going to have the same timeline. And that doesn't make one timeline right. And that doesn't make one timeline wrong. It just means we all have our own timeline. And when it's meant to be for you, it will be. And if it's meant to be for you, it will be. When and if, I can't tell you. But I do know that you're deserving of exactly what happens. And I hope that the right thing happens. And I hope it's everything you've ever wanted and prayed for. And all I know is, even if your girl gang is you and one other person, that's a better girl gang, a tight girl gang, than you and 10 girls who aren't worth your time. So Be picky, be choosy in your friendships. I know everyone tells you you have to find your soulmate in a man. You can find them in a woman too. Like, you can find your dream human in a friendship form if you want. And I don't think you should settle for anything less than people who will treat you the best. I'm kind of a rapper. Oh my gosh. Okay, this one was kind of long, guys. I mean, I'm sure I'll look back and it's going to be like 35 minutes of me rambling about friendships because, once again, I'm a no note girly. I don't prepare anything I'm going to say and I kind of just go on a fly. But if there are topics or things you guys are curious about, I would love, love, love to hear your suggestions because coming up with things to talk about every week, it's kind of hard, especially when you don't have someone to like bounce ideas off of and you're just sitting here staring at a camera on a stack of books on top of my suitcase. What am I going to talk about? Oh my gosh. Anyways, thank you guys all for listening to week 3 of the audio. I can't wait to see you all next week and have a lovely week. If your friends suck, maybe take a step back, tell them to be better, or leave them and go find your real girl gang.